From South Carolina Public Radio, this is Who, What, When, an hour of history, games, and trivia. I'm Daniel Thompson.
And I'm Brandon Gray. From the famous to the infamous this week, we're exploring the political campaigns from throughout history.
Coming up later this hour, we'll see how well you remember notable campaign ads, take a trip through some truly bizarre ones, and hear 3 stories about political campaigns that may be too wild to believe.
Yeah, and if you'd like to join us for these games, all you got to do is call or text us. The number's 803-470-6347. That's 803-470-6347. Or you can send us an email to whowhatwhen@scpublicradio.org. You will get a shot at the title of Who, What, When Champion of the Week. And more importantly, I might say, a very special trophy. You know what it is. The Who, What, When Fanny Pack.
That's right, Brandon. I'd love to get right to it, but I do have to at least mention that you look especially on brand for today's episode.
Thank you. I'm assuming you're talking about my campaign buttons?
I mean, I guess it's really more all of the buttons. There's so many. I can't even see the color of your shirt, but also they all say vote for Bran on them. What's that about?
I appreciate you asking me that and allowing me to talk about this. I am up for re-election for being the co-host of this show. It's very important to me, and so really excited about this upcoming election.
You're running for second chair of Who, What, When. You know that you already...
And Dan, if I get your vote, I promise to spend every waking moment to bringing this show to the next level.
I mean, this sounds great, Brand, but I don't know how to tell you this.
I can't rest on my laurels here, Dan. We'll see what the American public says.
Who's up against you?
I don't want to give them any promotion.
Okay, all right. Well,
but Danny and Craig?
Yeah.
And Pedro Pascal?
Pedro Pascal wants to be second chair. How is anybody going to vote for you?
Once again, vote Brand at the election this season.
Right,
Thank you so much.
We'll have a Brand re-election update for the job he already has, I guess, during the show.
Thank you.
I think you may just be excited about this week's topic, political campaigns throughout history. You love an election season.
I do. I love a debate. I love ads. I love practicing my right to cast a ballot. So why not bring them all together and bring that energy to this here show?
You know, I think you're starting to win me over here.
Vote for Brand.
Vote for Brand.
You said it.
So the U.S. has an interesting history when it comes to political campaigns. Our first presidential election was won in a landslide. George Washington was the unanimous choice and received the votes of all 132 electors.
Wow.
That's the only president to be elected unanimously in the history of our country. But the election of 1796, Brand, that one was bonkers.
And if I'm remembering my favorite history book, the musical Hamilton, correctly, that is between John Adams and Thomas Jefferson, correct?
It is. You and Hamilton are both correct. Both candidates were well known, with Adams being Washington's vice president and Jefferson being his Secretary of State. But a lot of citizens at the time weren't big on outspoken campaigning. So neither of them directly appealed to voters because most of the voters were electors and not your run-of-the-mill American citizen. That started to change with the election of 1800, which was a rematch between those two men.
So what happened?
Well, Jefferson wasn't too happy about losing to Adams in 1796, and he decided to bring out some dirty politics in the next election.
Uh-oh.
He paid a sympathetic newspaper to print pretty ugly things about Adams and his party. Things like he was bald and toothless and crippled, all in a newspaper. Adams also had a newspaper for propaganda. Adams had leaflets printed with some ugly things to say about Jefferson. Basically, they launched smear campaigns against each other.
It's like the equivalent of attack ads today.
That's exactly right, and those were fast and furious, and there was no operation of the press that wasn't some part partisan. Those kinds of campaigns kept growing throughout the 19th century, especially as political cartoons started to become a thing.
And I imagine that the introduction of television changed campaigns even further.
Most certainly, Brand. Candidates started advertising on TV, which really took off over the latter half of the 20th century. By some accounts, TV marketing now makes up as much as 75% of political campaign budgets. Now, of course, we also have social media campaigns, websites, and so many other political messages coming through on our smartphones, and the attack ads aren't stopping anytime soon. It should be noted that the first televised debate literally changed the entire election because John F. Kennedy looked more composed than Richard Nixon.
And even as the world continues to change, some things remain the same, which is why I would implore everybody not to pay attention to the attack ads against me and vote Bran. Thank you, Dan, for that quick history lesson. How about we start our first game?
That sounds like a great idea, Bran. We have two contestants on the line. Caller number one, what's your name? Where are you from?
My name is Brandon Cook. I am from here in Columbia, South Carolina.
Brandon Cook from Columbia, South
How
Carolina.
about that?
Brandon, you a big campaign guy?
I wish. Today, I wish really hard.
Yeah.
Do you think I'm doing a good job at second chair? Or
You're doing a great job. I vote for you again.
Brandon to Brandon, let's just talk this out together. I think together you and I are going to do a great job today. I'm not going to give you any answers or anything like that. I can't do that, but I can silently cheer for you just on name alone.
I might take my vote back then.
Wow. He's asking for some special treatment. They're just Brandon to Brandon.
I guess so.
Always.
There's nothing I can do about that.
Yeah. Brandon, thanks for joining us this week. Let's meet who you're going to be playing against. Caller number two, what's your name? Where are you from?
My name is Kellen Monroe, and I'm from the big town of Gilbert, South Carolina.
Shout out to Gilbert.
Shout out.
South
Gilbert,
Carolina.
one of my favorite comics.
Gilbert is one of those places I always say you can't get there from here. Gilbert, South Carolina. Kellen, all the way from Gilbert, South Carolina. During election season, how much do you love all those commercials that run nonstop on your radio and television set, Kellen?
Oh, it's just my favorite. It's a must-see TV.
Must-see TV.
Kellen, how do you like your odds today? You feeling good going into this?
I felt really good until I remembered that I was going up against two Brandons.
Well, no. Kellen, did you hear what I said, though? I said I'm not going to help him.
My middle name's Kellen. It isn't, there you go. But I tried to make it work. Yeah,
it's also Brandon. It's actually three Brandons against one
That's
Kellen.
Right.
So.
All right, we got Brandon from Columbia, Kellen from Gilbert. We're talking political campaigns this week, and we're going to get started with a game we're calling Campaign Ad Nauseum.
Oh, I like that. Brandon and Kellen, in this game, we're going to ask you multiple choice questions about some very famous campaign ads that people running for office used on TV and online.
Brandon, you're first up in this segment. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Here we go. Airing just one time on NBC, this terrifying 1964 commercial titled Daisy Girl featured a girl counting down from 10 while picking a flower as the pictures transitioned to the real threat of nuclear war.
Oh, my God.
With the incumbent president saying we must love each other or die.
Wow.
It successfully scared off his opponent, Barry Goldwater, as he was reelected with over 90% of the electoral vote.
It aired one time?
One time.
Okay.
Was that A, John F. Kennedy, B, Gerald Ford, or C, Lyndon Johnson?
I'm going to go with C, Lyndon Johnson.
He's going to go with C, Lyndon Johnson, and out of the gate, had no problem. He's on the board. That is correct.
He didn't need to talk it through.
No.
He knew immediately 1964 Daisy Girl.
You just
Lyndon
felt
Johnson.
that comfortable about that question, huh, Brandon?
Yeah, I just remember that airing.
Brandon is actually 85 years old, which is, he sounds great. He remembers it airing. Remembers it airing.
How about that? Lyndon Johnson.
That commercial is 60 years old. He remembers it airing.
Incredible.
That's fantastic. All right, Kellen, chance to tie this thing up here on Campaign Ad Nauseum. This 1984 ad campaign was titled It's Morning in America and painted the United States, thanks to the last 4 years of this incumbent president, as a productive, perfect suburban landscape of happy people in a great economy. It helped him secure his landslide victory over Democrat Walter Mondale. Is that A, George H.W. Bush, B, Ronald Reagan, or C, Bill Clinton?
This is from my youth, so I'm going to go with George H.W. Bush.
It's from his youth, but he's incorrect. We're looking for Ronald Reagan. Ronald Reagan.
1 year old.
I do feel like this is quite a famous campaign.
This is before you were born.
I know, but I have heard It's Morning in America, and I feel like you hear about it every once in a while. This type of campaign that was
well,
run
the
by
sequel,
Reagan.
Clint Eastwood's It's Halftime America.
Right, 100%.
Not nearly as popular.
No.
Didn't make the cut here.
That's
on
unfortunate.
Campaign Ad Nauseum. All right, Brandon, a chance to take a 2-0 lead here with your next question. In a tough primary race in 2008, this future Secretary of State released the It's 3 a.m. ad.
And I must be lonely here.
A hard-hitting attack questioning the experience and wisdom of their opponent, Senator Barack Obama, who would eventually win the party's nomination, as well as the presidency. Is that A, John Edwards, B, Hillary Clinton, C, Joe Biden?
I'm going to go B, Hillary Clinton.
He's going to go B, Hillary Clinton. He's just guessing, and he's just correct.
How about that?
2 for 2.
Was this like a "it's 3 a.m. Do you know where your kids are" type campaign?
It was when the phone. You don't remember this at all?
No.
So you
remember
remember the last
one.
one, which is
Yeah.
crazy. This ad made such waves when Hillary and Obama were debating each other in the primary. She released this ad, and it was like at 3 a.m. when the president gets a phone call,
Okay.
and like insinuated it could be about nuclear warfare or something major.
Do you want this young
You
kid
want
taking the
this
call?
guy who's been in the Senate for 4 years,
Yeah.
doing this, or do you want someone who's been around, who's been a part of politics for
That's
years?
a good campaign.
It was an incredibly effective ad, and she still lost. That's how impressive Barack Obama
How
was.
about that? Yes,
All
we
right,
can.
Kellen, time to get on the board here. Your next question, campaign ad nauseum. Here we go. In 2012, during the Republican primary, this former CEO of Godfather's Pizza and champion of his 999 plan
Yes.
released one of the strangest commercials in modern memory, where his chief of staff, Mark Block, gave a pep talk to Americans about taking the country back, all while smoking a cigarette. Is that A, Herman Cain, B, Mike Huckabee, or C, Ron Paul?
Ooh. So Republican and was a CEO of Godfather's Pizza. Huckabee was a pastor, right? And Ron Paul was a doctor. So I'm going to go with Herman Cain.
Kellen from Gilbert talked it out, and he got there. Herman
about
Cain
that?
is correct. His chief of staff out there on television in 2012 ripping darts.
Yeah,
Just-
man. Listen, I remember more about Herman Cain than I care to admit. That guy has just stuck with
Yeah,
me.
999, baby.
999.
Didn't work out for him. All right, Brandon. Kellen's on the board. He's coming after you. Let's see if you can answer this next question about some political campaign ads. This ad, known as the Willie Horton ad or the revolving door ad, put out by this Republican candidate in 1988, portrayed his opponent, Michael Dukakis, as soft on crime, also while preying on the fears of white suburbia with unfortunate racial stereotypes.
What?
Is that A, George W. Bush, B, Ronald Reagan, C, George H.W. Bush?
Ugh, y'all are hitting me with a lot of questions that I do not know.
You know that what the
You're
show is, right?
Yeah, 2 for 2.
Or are you surprised there's
go.
questions on the quiz show?
Surprised that I wouldn't know any of them. Like, for real. Let's go George H.W. Bush.
George H.W. Bush. Brandon, mad about the questions, getting them all right. He's 3 for 3. That is correct.
What can-
George H.W. Bush.
I think I can figure out what the revolving door is talking about. But what's Willie Norton? Why?
This Michael Dukakis pardoned him or let him back on the streets.
All right. Interesting.
And he committed another crime.
and they used that against him.
Oh, yeah.
Interesting.
It's one of the most racist ads. It's terrible. It's really, really bad. Not the worst ad. We'll get to those later, but that's pretty bad.
Okay.
All right, Kellen, to stay within striking distance here on campaign ad nauseum, here's your next question. In what's believed to be the first widespread presidential campaign ad only available on the internet, this future president leaned on the talents of producer will.i.am from the Black Eyed Peas to edit down his now famous New Hampshire primary concession speech with over 30 different celebrity performers singing his words. It gained over 26 million views in under a week, went viral, and created a massive amount of fundraising and momentum for his eventual victory in 2008. Is that A, Mitt Romney, B, Barack Obama, or C, Joe Biden?
2008. So that would have been Barack Obama.
Barack Obama is correct. Kellen's finding his groove.
Uh-huh.
Can you
Pretty
imagine
good.
Mitt Romney doing a collab with will.i.am?
It's just so interesting to me. Like when I'm thinking about cutting together the perfect campaign ad, will.i.am, I don't think would come to mind, but shout out will.i.am.
Yeah.
Shout out.
Black Eyed Peas, why not?
The Yes We Can, and it's all 30 different singers. In 2008, he was as
Yeah,
he was
as
at the height
big
of
as
his
anybody
powers.
else.
All right, Brandon, a chance to keep that perfect game going. Here's your next question about political campaign ads. After being attacked by his opponent Richard Nixon for being young and inexperienced, this soon-to-be youngest elected candidate in history turned that criticism into a feature with this ad campaign and jingle that reminded voters he was old enough to know and young enough to do. Is that A, Spiro Agnew, B, John F. Kennedy, or C, Calvin Coolidge?
Let's go B, John F. Kennedy.
He's so confident in a game he doesn't know the questions. Couldn't believe there were questions on this quiz show, but he's perfect.
How about that?
He's 4 for 4. JFK is correct.
So this was a jingle.
It was a jingle.
So he saw like
It was a TV commercial that was a jingle.
He saw like restaurants and whatnot and said, "Let's get a jingle.
that's right.
Give me that John F. Kennedy jingle."
That's exactly right. All right,
Love
Kellen.
that President Kennedy.
That's really
Something
good.
like that.
Love that JFK.
There you go.
Yeah.
Writes itself, guys. I want
my JFK, JFK. I want my JFK, JFK. John
Kennedy.
Fitzgerald Kennedy.
Nice.
Yeah. We'll work on it. We'll workshop it. Kennedy, yeah, it is. Kennedy.
Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. It's JFK.
Kennedy. Yep, it's Kennedy is what I said.
No, that's
Kennedy's
all good.
not playing with us. Keenan isn't either. Kellen is, though. Kellen is playing with us, and his next question here on Campaign Ad Nauseum right now. The election of 1952 was the first presidential election to feature TV commercials prominently, with this ad featuring a cartoon elephant banging a drum while the donkeys watched disapprovingly. It helped this former general coast into the White House. The rhyming slogan didn't hurt either. Is that A, Douglas MacArthur, B, Harry Truman, C, Dwight Eisenhower?
Ooh, so cartoon elephant banging a drum. Also, I'm going to throw it out there that anybody who uses a baby back ribs, I'm voting for that person.
Shout out.
All right.
Shout out.
Shout out.
Honestly, same, Kellen.
Yeah. Yeah.
So MacArthur, Truman, Eisenhower.
Those
right?
are the options.
I'm definitely going to go with Dwight D. Eisenhower.
He followed the clues. He got to Eisenhower, and he is correct.
There you go.
He's on a roll. Do you know the rhyming slogan that Dwight Eisenhower
No, I
used?
was literally about to ask.
I like Ike.
Oh, yeah,
His
yeah.
nickname was Ike.
Yep.
I like Ike. There you go. We're all learning here.
We're all doing
We're
great.
all learning here. It's back to Brandon. Perfect game intact.
Now, Brandon, he's about to ask you another question.
That's right, about political
So
ads.
buckle up.
So here we go. In defeating the incumbent George H.W. Bush in 1992, this small-town man from Arkansas leaned into that good old boy image as his campaign edited the biographical film shown at the DNC into a compelling ad campaign entitled The Man from Hope. Is it A, Mitt Romney, B, Bill Clinton, C, Newt Gingrich?
Let's go with B, Bill Clinton.
He's 5 for 5 and has a perfect round. Brandon from Columbia
He's
has
been
just
mad about
completed
every question. Doesn't matter.
a perfect round here on Who What When political ad campaigns. Kellen, just to stay one back, you got one more question.
Which would be great
Which would be great.
and absolutely doable.
After missing that first one, after you said it was from your childhood, you've been lights out.
100%.
Kellen, are you ready for your next question?
I'm ready.
Let's do it. In 2004, this presidential incumbent leaned heavily on the narrative that his opponent, John Kerry, was a flip-flopper on the big issues. And nothing drove that point home more than the windsurfing ad, featuring an actual home video of John Kerry windsurfing as the narrator talked about his yes and no votes on varying parts of the Iraq War. Is that A, George H.W. Bush, B, Al Gore, or C, George W. Bush?
So this one would be the incumbent gives me that it's George W. Bush.
W. Bush, he used the context clues, and he's right. I got to be honest, Bran.
Yeah?
We asked 10 questions in that round, and 9 of them were correct, and I didn't see it coming.
That's pretty good. I like that a lot.
That's
no
right.
flip-flopping here.
No flip-flopping here.
This is Who It When. I'm Brandon Gray here with my co-host for now, Daniel Thompson. This week, we're looking back on historical political campaigns.
Vote for Bran. We're playing with our contestants, Kellen and Brandon, both from South Carolina. The score is currently 5-4, but that could change in our next game about some of the more, shall we say, interesting campaign ads we've seen over the years.
All right, that's coming up right after this break here on Who, What, When.
Welcome back to Who What When, an hour of history, games, and trivia. I'm Daniel Thompson here with my pal Brandon Gray. This week we're playing games about the history of political campaigns in the United States.
Vote for Brand. And before we get back to our games, we want to remind you, yes, you can be a contestant on a future episode of Who What When. All you got to do is call or text us, 803-470-6347, or you can send us an email to whowhatwhen@scpublicradio.org.
We have two South Carolinians, Brandon and Kellen, playing with us today. Whoever wins this second round will be named our Who What When Champion of the Week, and we'll have a chance to move on to our final game to win that sweet, sweet Who What When fanny pack. We'll have to see who makes it through our next game. It's one we're calling PolitiFact or PolitiFiction.
Brandon and Kellen, in this game, we're going to be covering political campaign ads that were so ridiculous that it's hard to believe they happened at all, and that's because we've completely made up some of them. For each question, we're going to give you a quick summary of the ad that appeared on TV or online, and you'll have to tell us whether it's PolitiFact or PolitiFiction.
Brandon, you're up first again. Does that make sense?
Makes perfect sense.
All right, let's light this candle. Candidate Mike Gravel ran for president in 2008 with an ad that featured him standing next to a lake in a park, staring directly into the camera for over a minute straight in dead silence. Then he walked to the water, picked up a giant rock, and threw it in. That was the ad. Almost 2 decades later, Gravel still doesn't fully understand the ad himself. Is that PolitiFact or PolitiFiction?
Sounds ridiculous enough, so let's go PolitiFact.
PolitiFact is correct.
I love that.
Brandon has a perfect game going. Now, Brandon here in the studio, I watched this ad and laughed so hard I had to show you.
Yes, you did.
And you thought it was funnier than I did.
I love it very much. I also love that Mike Gravel doesn't understand it.
That's right.
Because there's not really anything
doesn't make
to
sense.
understand. I think someone was punking him.
Yeah, I think so.
I think like Ashton Kutcher's behind the camera being like, and then do this. It's going to really sell. It's a great bet.
It's a wild time. You got to check out this ad. Pretty crazy. He was a Democratic candidate for president. It didn't really take off, if you can believe it.
Shout out Mike Gravel.
Shout out.
It's a giant rock. It's not
a
like
big
he's
rock.
skipping a rock.
No.
It's like a big rock.
It's not gravel.
It's not gravel. Mike Gravel wasn't throwing gravel. Kellen, a chance to remain within striking distance here, playing a game called PolitiFact or PolitiFiction. Is this campaign ad PolitiFact or PolitiFiction? Running for Rockingham County Board of Education in North Carolina, Christopher Knight used Star Wars clip art and animation to show a Death Star blowing up a schoolhouse.
Whoa!
And then him subsequently taking up a lightsaber in front of a desert on a green screen to save the day. PolitiFact, PolitiFiction.
Oh man, this is a tough one. You missed a. You could have been Christopher Jedi Knight.
Oh wow!
So I'm going to go with fact for that reason.
He's going to go with fact for that reason, and he's unfortunately correct. It became a pretty big viral sensation. This is one of the most unfortunate ads I've ever seen.
It sounds alarming.
It is unbelievable.
Did he win?
I don't believe he won. You need to look this up, Bryn. You would have a time with this ad. Kellen wasn't fooled. He's correct. Since his first miss, nobody's missed one. We're playing PolitiFact, PolitiFiction right here on some campaign ads on Who What When. Brandon, you ready for your next question?
I'm ready.
U.S. Representative Eric Swalwell, when running for Congress to represent Iowa, used commercial time in local markets to stand in front of a whiteboard filled with charts and graphs as he pierced a Capri Sun, squeezed it all over the boards, and said it was time to juice the economy.
Eric.
Is that PolitiFact or PolitiFiction?
I'm going to say PolitiFiction, and I hope that it's right.
Brandon's too good for the show. Yeah. He's correct again. It is PolitiFiction. PolitiFiction.
I got to be honest, Dan. I've never wanted to run for anything.
That's right.
It's never been my dream to get into politics.
No.
But this is interesting. This I would do.
Juice the economy.
Let's juice the economy.
Let's juice the economy.
Capri Sun, baby.
It is fiction, unfortunately. I wish it was fact. I'd love to see that video. Kellen, we're back to you. PolitiFact, PolitiFiction. Did this campaign ad really happen? When running for the U.S. Senate in South Dakota, candidate Jeff Barth shot a oneer of him walking through the woods talking about random things with random people, sometimes including his candidacy. The only problem was it was too long for TV, going over 5 minutes, but it became a hit on YouTube. Is that PolitiFact or PolitiFiction?
Oh man, I feel like have to go PolitiFact here.
He's got to go PolitiFact here, and I don't know what it is. I don't know if somebody's feeding them the answers. He is correct. I can't believe the first 4 of these have all been correct answers. That is PolitiFact. Another video I highly recommend. He refused to cut it, I guess, for TV.
Well, listen, when you make a masterpiece and
He gets sidetracked about his daughter and her year in high school. It's a wild ad. It's perfect. All right, Brandon. Kellen remains within one of you, even though you got a perfect game going on. Your next question here on PolitiFact, PolitiFiction. In a commercial to get reelected, Texas Representative Glenn Grothman dressed as Gandalf and waved a staff over a pile of tax forms and shouted, "You shall not pass these burdens onto the middle class." Before introducing his tagline, Glenn Grothman, fiscal magic, real results.
Ooh, that's good.
Is that PolitiFact or PolitiFiction?
I want that to be PolitiFact, so let's go PolitiFact.
He wants it to be PolitiFact. We all want it to be PolitiFact. It's PolitiFiction. You shall not pass these burdens on the middle class is so good.
Fiscal magic, real results is a great campaign.
Somebody can take it now.
That's really good.
Brandon, your first miss. The door's open for Kellen to tie this thing up. How you feeling about that?
I felt like Brandon should have known that one for AT's love of writing things about Lord of the Rings in the show.
Yeah, Lord of the Rings, you'd think so. I unfortunately write the questions, and I'm fine with Lord of the Rings. I don't have nearly the... That's right. All right, Kellen, a chance to tie this bad boy up. We're playing PolitiFact, PolitiFiction. Is this campaign ad true? Did it really happen, or is it false? Did I make it up? Here we go. In 2011, a group called the Agenda Project released an ad against Paul Ryan called "Throw Granny from the Train" that went to, let's say, extreme lengths to showcase Paul Ryan's proposed world without Medicare. Is that PolitiFact or PolitiFiction?
Oh, I feel like Paul Ryan was against Medicare, so I'm going to go with PolitiFact.
That is correct.
There you go.
And Kellen has tied it up.
Hey, Dan, they didn't throw a granny from a train, right?
The proposed, you need to watch this ad because basically it's like your grandma's going to die if Paul Ryan.
Oh my gosh.
Paul Ryan gets his way, your grandma's going to die. All right. It's a tie ball game. We got 5 questions left. It could go either way. Brandon, your next question here on PolitiFact, PolitiFiction. West Virginia politician Thomas Massey used chicken and eggs on his farm to explain supply and demand in his ad running for the state Senate. He encouraged West Virginians to let the market crow.
Well done.
Is that PolitiFact or PolitiFiction?
I'm going to go PolitiFact.
He's going to go PolitiFact, and he's now missed 2 in a row.
Oh, my goodness.
He's missed 2 in a row. It's PolitiFiction.
What a
turn of events.
Let the market crow.
Not real, if you can believe it. Not real. Thomas Massey, big farmer. Not real. Though,
it's no fiscal magic, real results, but it's not bad. Dan.
Kellen, out of nowhere, you've got an opportunity to take the lead here and win your first lead pretty late in the game. Your next question here on PolitiFact or PolitiFiction. Republican Representative Peter Hoekstra in Michigan released a local Super Bowl ad during his run for the Senate, featuring an incredibly offensive caricature named Debbie Spend It Now, who, speaking in broken English, talked about how America's current economy was really great for China.
Oh, no.
Is that PolitiFact or PolitiFiction?
Oh, man. A Super Bowl ad with Debbie Spend It Now. I'm going to go with PolitiFact.
He's going to go with PolitiFact, and he is correct.
Wow.
And can I tell you something about this ad? The Hoekstra camp has tried to scrub this from the internet as best as they can. Good luck with that. Seek it out if you dare.
What a comeback by Kellen.
What a comeback
and I
by
just
Kellen.
got this in.
You just got it in?
Hot off the
press.
Our very first person to be in the lead from Gilbert, South Carolina.
Wow.
This is big.
Gilbert making big waves. All right, Brandon, you went from perfect game to got to be perfect the rest of the way. Here's your next question on PolitiFact or PolitiFiction. You got to tell me if this political campaign or ad was made up or if it really happened. Here we go. Shot like a nature documentary crossed with a campaign ad in 1982, U.S. Senator Dale Bumpers from Arkansas emerged from a swamp in slow motion, shirt half buttoned, holding an American flag in one hand and an alligator in the other.
Brother,
Dramatic orchestral music played with accompanying banjo riffs.
Yes.
Is that PolitiFact or PolitiFiction,
Dale
Brandon?
Bumper.
This is a hard one. Whew. Let's go PolitiFiction.
He said PolitiFiction, and he called it. He's back
How
on the
about
board, and
that?
he's tied it up.
This is, you know what's interesting about that one is, for some reason in my mind, 82 is too early for this type of ad.
Yeah.
This is
Yep.
like this is a viral hit. Absolutely. I don't think they would have done it in 82. Brandon's
Yeah,
agree.
Brandon's
on this
agree.
one. I would have
That's
come to
exactly
the
right.
same conclusion. Shout out Dale Bumper.
Shout out.
Shout out Dale Bumper.
Big time Dale Bumper.
Yeah. All right, Kellen, for all the marbles. This is the last question of the
Wow.
round.
So
That's
this
right.
is big.
This is huge. Playing a little PolitiFact, PolitiFiction.
Uh-huh.
If Kellen guesses right here, or knows it by any chance, he's moving on to win a fanny pack. If he misses it,
They're both moving
they're both
on.
moving on. Kellen, it hangs in the balance. The last question of the round, here it is. In one of the weirder, more disconcerting ads of the 1990s, Tennessee Senator Jim Sasser shot his re-election commercial walking through the halls of Congress, spraying what appeared to be cleaning disinfectant on the walls and furniture. As Sasser talked about what the country needed, the commercial ended with him showing the bottle to the camera, and in a Lysol font was the word virtue instead,
Huh.
with Sasser 92 underneath it. Is that PolitiFact or PolitiFiction?
Oh man, I wish I knew this one so I could put Brandon away, but I'm going to complete guess here. I'm going to say fiction.
He's going to say PolitiFiction, and Kellen is correct.
Whoa!
A comeback for the ages. They'll be talking
Wow.
about it in Who, What, When lore. Kellen from Gilbert, South Carolina. I'm also hearing the first contestant from Gilbert, South Carolina to be moving to the finals.
That is exactly right.
With an opportunity to win
It's big.
a Who, What, When fanny pack. Kellen, congratulations. Brandon from Columbia, South Carolina, thanks for playing. Thanks for doing the best you could. And thanks for joining us this week on Who, What, When.
Thanks for having me. I will go get my own fanny pack, I guess.
You're going to have to. There's no way around it.
This is Who What When. I'm Brandon Gray here with my friend Daniel Thompson.
Our contestant, Kellen from South Carolina, is just one game away from taking home our weekly trophy, the vaunted Who, What, When fanny pack. Will he pull it off? We'll find out after this break.
That's next here on Who What When.
Welcome back to Who, What, When, South Carolina Public Radio's hour of history, games, and trivia. I'm Daniel Thompson here with my co-host Brandon Gray. This week we're discussing famous political campaigns throughout history. Brand, any update on the election?
All I can say is vote for me.
Fair.
Please vote for me. Hey, before we get to our final game today, I just want to remind everybody that you can join us on a future episode of the show. If you've been having fun listening, it's even more fun to play. All you got to do is call or text us 803-470-6347, or you can send us an electronic mail to whowhatwhen at scpublicradio.org.
Our contestant, Kellen from South Carolina, won our first two rounds and is officially now the Who, What, When champion of the week. He now has a chance to put a cherry on top of that champion Sunday and take home our lauded weekly trophy, a Who, What, When fanny pack. In order to do that, he'll need to get through our final game today, one we play a lot on this show. It's History or His Story, Campaign Edition.
Kellen, here's how History or His Story will work. Former history teacher Dan, a notorious liar, will share 3 stories about political campaigns from U.S. history that are almost too hard to believe. 2 of them are 100% historical fact. The other mixes some facts with details that are 100% made up by Dan, aka it's his story, and after each story, you and I will have a chance to talk about it, ask any questions that we have, chat a bit, and hopefully after we hear all 3 stories, you're going to be able to figure out which one is Dan's lie, that is, History or His Story.
That's all you got to do. Kellen, you got any questions before we get started?
No, I think I got it down pretty good. Just don't pick what Brand does.
Okay,
Right?
you
Easy.
want to know
It's
what, though?
easy.
You want to know what? You know who's worse at this game than me? Pedro Pascal.
That's right. I'm going to tell these in chronological order so you don't think I tried to doctor them and pick which order I wanted them
Sure.
in. Here we go. The first story is called The Front Porch Campaign. Brand, the election of 1896 featured an established Republican, William McKinley, versus a fractured second party that would end up remaining the Democratic Party after the convention.
Okay.
The election's big issues, stop me if you've heard any of these, were monetary policy. Democrats wanted to coin silver regularly to help farmers and the working class. Republicans wanted to remain on the gold standard. Trust and monopolies. Democrats wanted more government oversight over business. Republicans wanted little to none. And tariffs, with the Republicans in favor of high tariffs and Democrats in favor of low to no tariffs.
Interesting. And you said this was 2024?
1896.
Okay,
The
interesting.
Republicans had amassed a massive amount of campaign finance through big business leaders that were thrilled with McKinley's high tariff, hands-off approach to their business. The Democrats were fractured into a bunch of different regional groups. The former Southern Democrats joined forces with the People's Party, which represented mostly Midwestern farmers, to create a sort of alliance or coalition. They decided upon a candidate named William Jennings Bryan from Nebraska. He was a lawyer. He was an orator. He was also largely considered responsible for a shift in how presidents campaigned. Over the span of 3 months, William Jennings Bryan travels over 18,000 miles by train. 18,000.
Wow. That's a lot of train.
Speaking at every stop, canvassing directly to voters, becoming known as a populist president, which would be just the new way presidents commonly campaign, by
right.
going from city to city and speaking.
And they chant WJB.
WJB. I don't know. He gives one of the most memorable speeches in presidential campaign history. It's called the Cross of Gold speech.
Okay.
Now, here's where the story gets wild. The response of William McKinley: how do we compete with an orator that is so slick on the mic and around every town? McKinley's response: don't leave his house. In the exact opposite maneuver of William Jennings Bryan, what the McKinley camp does is they train people in to William McKinley's front yard.
Okay.
They do send out people who are good speakers that are younger to go and talk about how William Jennings Bryan is this weird radical that's religious and you should be afraid of him. But the campaign manager for William McKinley is a guy named Mark Hanna, and he says William McKinley can stay at his house in Ohio every day. He lives in Canton, Ohio. So what would happen is, over the course of the next 3 months, and this is not a misprint, Mark Hanna brought in 500,000 voters.
Whoa.
Working 6 days a week. McKinley took the Sabbath day, Sunday off.
Keep it holy.
But for 6 days a week, by train to Canton, Ohio, Mark Hanna would be bringing 500,000 people, thousands every day, showing up on McKinley's farm, packing his front yard. McKinley would speak seated from his front porch, and then they would take him back to the train and send him on their way.
I just picture him I just picture him rocking a rocking chair, just being like, how y'all doing out there?
Yeah, everybody doing okay?
Doing good?
Hello, Canton. That's exactly
Rock
right.
and roll.
So here's what's crazy is while the popular vote between these two candidates was really close, the money of the Republican Party won out, and it turned out William McKinley didn't need to leave his front porch to win election, and he became the president of the United States in 1896 without leaving his home state of Ohio. That's the end of story number one.
That is fascinating.
Yes, it is.
A question that I have, Dan, do we have the numbers of the amount by each of these campaigns on how much they spent? Like the difference between traveling around all these different places and setting up these events, which I imagine takes money, versus just your person staying there, but we're going to have to bring everybody
So
in.
we don't have the expenses, but we do have the rough amount of money that was brought in.
Okay.
With William Jennings Bryan and the Democrats bringing in about $500,000, which is a pretty good chunk of change in 1896. But the McKinley camp brought in over $3 million.
Woo!
Because all the big businesses wanted to continue to not be taxed, which was a big issue of the day.
All right.
Kellen, any questions? What do you think about that first story?
I think if it's true that's the greatest reason to be a couch potato ever.
That's right.
Has anyone else ever tried this?
It's like, what about Bob and sailing? William McKinley's like, I just let the rocking chair do all the work.
Yeah.
That's the trick. He doesn't leave his house. It's crazy.
After the success of this, did anybody
there
try to
were
copycat it?
future front porch campaigns after this. There actually were front porch campaigns before this, but not in the new modern era of campaigning. So campaigning used to be just to wealthy people because a lot of citizens didn't vote. You know what I mean? Like you'd get 20% of the population that voted. But this was new in an era where 70% of the voting electorate turned out at the polls.
What I think is interesting is that WJB was like a really good talker. That's how you described him. Like he was somebody that you wanted to see. I would have thought that the person who was like the better speaker would be the one that people would want to go and see on their front porch.
My guess is there was some money that changed hands to bring these people to Canton.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
All right. Fair enough.
For sure. All right. We ready for story number 2?
I'm ready.
Story number 2 is called The Bullet and the Bull Moose. The Bullet and the Bull Moose. One of the most influential presidents in our nation's history is Teddy Roosevelt, Bran. He started as a Republican, actually taking over from William McKinley, who was assassinated in 1901. But then, after starting as a Republican, Teddy Roosevelt actually was responsible for a subtle shift in political alliances, ushering in a much more progressive form of policy over the course of his 8 years as president, including making a name for himself as the trust buster, who wasn't afraid to break up large monopolies and big businesses. Now, after 8 years as president, Roosevelt handpicked his successor who would run for president after him. It was a guy named William Howard Taft, and in 1908, Taft wins the election. Unfortunately, during Taft's 4 years, Roosevelt is really unhappy with the job Taft is doing, and actually, in 1912, Roosevelt, who's already been president for 8 years, tries to run against Taft for the nomination of the party. Taft still wins because things are going well for the Republicans, and Roosevelt doesn't leave well enough alone. People think he's too radical as a progressive now for the Republicans. Roosevelt decides to run as a third-party candidate, a party he creates called the Bull Moose Party, because at the ripe old age of 54, he claimed he was as strong as a bull moose, which I can only gather is like a bull and moose together, which is pretty
combo.
strong. The Bull Moose Party ran on pretty radical ideas for the time. The 8-hour workday, the federal regulation of businesses, a far cry from Teddy's days as McKinley's vice president. Roosevelt campaigned furiously during the election of 1912. And during one stop in Cleveland, Ohio, Bran, are you ready for this? He was shot during his speech by a bullet from a gun.
Wow. Well, that's one way to stop him.
Yeah. The bullet was heading for his right chest. Lucky for Roosevelt, in his right chest, he had his glasses case and his 50-page speech still in the lapel pocket of his jacket. Now, the bullet had to go through the glasses case and the 50 pages before it did eventually pierce his skin. After Roosevelt was shot, he said, "If you could be especially quiet, I don't know whether you fully understand that I have just been shot."
Okay.
He then unbuttoned his vest to show the blood stain on the shirt to the crowd and said, with his shirt bleeding, "It takes more than a bullet to kill a bull moose."
Oh, boy.
The crowd erupted.
They love it.
Then Roosevelt continued to speak with a bullet in him. He said, "The bullet is in me now, so that I cannot make a very long speech, but I will try my best."
The bullet is in me now. It has
He
arrived.
finished his speech after being shot with a bullet in him. Roosevelt had arguably the most successful third-party run in our nation's history. He received more votes than the Republican Party candidate, William Taft. But the splintering of Taft and Roosevelt supporters resulted in a win for Woodrow Wilson, who won handily in this election. And that is the end of story number 2. Bran, what do you think?
Kellen, you can do with this what you want to. I feel relatively confident about this particular story.
Wow.
Call it Bran intuition. Call it what you want. The bullet is in me now, and I will continue to speak and say that I feel pretty good about this story. Kellen, do you have the same good feeling about it?
I do. I remember a fair amount of this story growing up in school, and I feel like most everything that I remember was in the description. So I feel I feel relatively confident that it's true.
All right. They both feel good about that one. Feels like you can take it off the list. We'll see what happens after story number 3, which starts right now. This is called Harding's Mistress Ghost.
All right. Okay.
Let's start story number 3, Harding's Mystery Ghost. The election of 1920 featured new candidates from both political parties. Woodrow Wilson had seen the country through World War I, but had lost support in his push to get the U.S. into world affairs in hopes they would join the League of Nations. The 1910s was also a time of major progressive change in our country, including the establishment of the income tax, direct election of senators, as well as universal suffrage finally given to women. There was no doubt, considering these movements, that Republicans were going to pounce on an overcorrection in the upcoming decade, and that would prove to be accurate. The 1920s saw a return to normalcy, which was the slogan of then candidate Warren G. Harding. Harding campaigned on the idea of keeping America first, denigrating immigrants, and keeping them out of the country, and keeping America out of foreign issues unless it benefited from them financially. Harding was also a serialized philanderer. He even had a child out of wedlock with a woman named Nan Britton, who was kept away from him by the Republican National Convention, who paid the mother monthly to keep her quiet during the campaign of 1920. On the campaign trail of 1920, Harding began having recurring nightmares about people finding out about this child and his mistress, Nan Britton. These nightmares were compounded by the fact that 1920 was the first presidential election where women could vote, meaning their voice could make or break his chances. At a campaign stop in Detroit, Michigan, Harding was giving a speech with the backdrop of a gigantic American flag behind him when he believed he saw Nan Britton in the back of the crowd.
Wow.
Harding, as reported by the Detroit Free Press, looked sickly, stepping away from the microphone before speaking to his campaign advisors. After taking some water, he began speaking again. It wasn't until after his death that his wife, Florence Harding, who many actually believe poisoned him at the time, wrote in her journal that Harding was terrified of his misdeeds and that they were going to cost him in the election. Instead, American Republicans latched on to the brash Harding and his desire to return to normalcy, ushering in an era of corruption under Warren Harding before his untimely death in 1923. That is story number 3. Bran, what do you think about that?
So the ghost here is that he thought he saw this woman.
He thinks he sees his mistress in the back of the room. Right. He is assured he has not seen her in the back of the room. And he just is that terrified women are going to vote that this is going to come back to bite him.
This is interesting. It reminds me, Dan, of the opening scene from a TV show that both you and I like, The Newsroom, where he's on stage
it does.
and he looks out and he sees this person, but they're not really there.
That's right.
I don't know if you're pulling from that. I don't know if that was kind of coming to your minds.
It's a 12-year-old television program.
But is a show that both you and I like. I know that about you. Maybe while you were coming up with a story,
I forgot to mention that Nan Britton has a sign up in the back that says it's not, but it can be.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know what to do with that, Kellen. Do with that what you will. But I'm kind of leaning towards this as being Dan's story personally.
All right. Kellen, what do you think?
I feel like this is a tough one. I feel like it's one of those could be fake because it's from a time before that would be, widely discussed and that kind of thing. But also could be totally true because that obviously probably went on.
Yeah. All right. So here we are. It's recap time. Our 3 stories, Bran. William McKinley wins election by campaigning from his front porch in Canton, Ohio, and not leaving the state. Teddy Roosevelt, during his campaign, gets shot and continues to give his speech with the bullet in him. Story number 3, Warren Harding believes that his mistress and the child he has out of wedlock is going to cost him the election because women can vote, and thinks that he sees this woman in the back of the room when he doesn't see her in the back of the room. Those are the 3 stories. Kellen, you have weighed the options. Which of these stories is my story? And remind you, this is for a Who What When fanny pack, so the stakes couldn't be higher.
All right. So pretty sure number 2 is true. So I'm going to rule that out.
Take it out.
Bran, you said you liked story number 3 to be the story, correct?
Hey, listen, that's just me. I'm no Pedro Pascal, though, so.
Who is?
Well, I feel like I was advised not to go with Bran, so I'm going to pick story number 1 as the story.
He's picking
right.
story number 1.
All right, Kellen.
All right. So he just shots fired at Bran. He's losing an election against no one. Against the guy in the
Joke's on you.
butcher shop
I
at
have
Mr.
a
Bunky's.
50-page speech in my
That's
pocket.
right. All right, let's get to it, shall we? The second story, Teddy Roosevelt getting shot while giving a campaign speech. 100% true. What a story. What a time to be alive. Teddy Roosevelt, once again, just giving us fodder for days.
And that
on
was
what
like
he
the
was.
thing that really stuck with the people. Kind of
Yeah.
that image of
Yes.
someone
Yes.
getting shot. Very interesting.
Story number one. William McKinley wins
Yeah.
election.
Yeah.
From his front porch
Uh-huh.
is 100% true as well.
Oh,
True as well.
wow.
It did happen. It was a real thing. Harding, all that stuff I said about Harding, including having a mistress named Nan Britton with a child out of wedlock, including the Republican National Convention paying to keep her quiet, all true. Him seeing the ghost on the trail, not true, didn't happen as far as we know. That is the lie. Kellen, I felt like I led you astray. Bran right, Kellen wrong
fine.
this week.
You know what?
On Who, What, When.
You know what?
Yeah.
It is what it is.
Congrats, Bran.
People are stuck with me now. I got one right.
You're going to maybe get to stay second chair
We'll
here.
see what happens in
Kellen,
season
how do you
2.
feel about that?
I feel good. I feel like because of my distrust in Bran, that he showed his true colors and he will be voted in as the second chair of.
Thank you,
Fantastic.
Kellen.
I love that.
I
Kellen, you
appreciate
did
that.
Gilbert proud. Thanks for winning this week, and thanks for joining us for Who, What, When.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me.
And that does it for this episode all about political campaigns. Thanks again to our callers, Kellen and Brandon, for playing with us. And congratulations again to Kellen for being this week's Who, What, When champion.
Our producer is A.T. Shire. Our executive producer is Sean Birch, who's running for Best Head of Hair in Public Radio.
Yep.
This show is a production of South Carolina Public Radio, and it's made possible in part by listener contributions to the ETV Endowment of South Carolina.
Join us for an episode of Who, What, When. Just call or text us at 803-470-6347 or send an email to whowhatwhen@scpublicradio.org.
You can find out more about the show at our website, whowhatwhenshow.org.
And listen to an extended version of the show in your favorite podcasting app or through your smart speaker.
I'm Daniel Thompson.
And I'm Brandon Gray. Join us again next week for more history, games, and trivia right here on Who, What, When.